What do you want? Just one of the coolers?
Beer in it?
No. Hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Friday to each and everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to those on in television land. Sorry. Welcome to those. Welcome to our silent viewers. Thank you so much for joining. Happy Friday to each and everyone. Hope everyone had a wonderful and productive week and have had a wonderful start to the weekend. Sorry for the late start, um, but nevertheless, we are here. So, welcome straight up, Wayne. Welcome, blessings, RJ, Tiffany, Sharon. Welcome, welcome. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining in. So, tonight's topic is going to be political struggles, land, water, and wealth equity. And Baron is going to lead the discussion. Welcome, welcome, Sassy. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate you being here. Arthur, welcome. Thank you so much for joining in. We know it's late, so we are even more appreciative of you guys being with us. And Juba, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. So I have quite a bit of housekeeping to do because I literally just came through the door. So I'm gonna hand over to Byron and let him start and just get some of this going. So again, thank
Turn on
you.
the phone.
Mm?
Turn on the phone. Because I have TikTok.
Continue to play.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right. All right, so go ahead.
Yes, wonderful, pleasant, good night to all my ardent listeners.
Sorry, one sec. Welcome, welcome,
Right?
Karen Roy. Welcome, Farron. Thank you so much for joining in. Really appreciate you guys being here. My program this on a Friday to cap off my weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Arthur. Thank you so much for that endorsement. Okay. So of course, our the host, Baron and Anne Marie. So Baron, go ahead.
Oh, yes. Of course, we started a little bit late. Our apology for that, but we had to do what needs to be done. But we are here and we are happy that you are also here with us, supporting us, right? We couldn't have reached to this journey thus far without you guys. I want to say I am very much thankful and grateful for new subscribers that come on board.
Yes, thank you so
Right,
much, guys. Really
big thanks
appreciate it.
to you guys for supporting us, pushing us, right? And so then we feel so appreciated. So I want to say a big thanks, right, for that. Now, of course, I'm going to get into some issues as it relates to issues that are affecting us, and let me say, Jamaica, both locally and in the diaspora, right? The issue of voting is something that extremely important, particularly at this juncture, right? We have seen a government that is so conniving, from the prime minister to his cabinet, right? Conniving and deceiving. Not to be about that. We have seen where this government has gone to the length and breadth, right? Where no other government has done the level of corruption before. And we have seen that, they tried times and times to justify even the vicious pay increase that they have taken, for themselves. And this is one of the reasons why my sort of politics, and I want a lot of people to understand, right, when we talk about the fundamental difference between democratic socialism and capitalism. It is extremely important, right, that we understand the philosophy of our politics. right? Michael Manley, who created democratic socialism, was for a particular reason. Because Michael Manley definitely, truly wanted to help Jamaican people. And as a result of that, he created the philosophy of democratic socialism, right? So that each person, each individual in Jamaica is a stakeholder in the economy, that they worked, right, for the economy, and the economy works for them. No two way about this. Where we see the Jamaica Labour Party, right, as cover themselves in capitalism. And the difference with that, right, that private sector drive this economy. It's for the elites, the few. We have seen our lands being taken away from us. We have seen over umpteen years of the political rhetorics. Many communities don't even have tap water, service line running through those communities. So we are going to be addressing all of that. But before I get into that, I want to speak on something that I went on TikTok and I saw, which was a little bit upsetting as it relates to a PNP comrade. I think her name is Karen Cross. And he was telling people that people are not to trust Mark Golding. And when you listen and hear her, right, let me say something. And I hope she might be listening to me. Let me say this. You have a fundamental rights, right, as it relates to the Charter of Rights in terms of, freedom of speech. Everyone has that fundamental right. And so then whether you want to, whatever religion you want to serve, whatever political party you want to support, right, you have that right. But the rights, the Charter of Rights doesn't give you the right to defame someone's character. No one has that right to defame someone's character. And that's why when Mystic Sensation come here, before we speak an issue, we research it properly, to make sure that the information that we are sending out to people who are listening to us spend their precious time to listen to us, because they want to be edified, they want to be aware that we are not disseminating the sort of wrong information to mislead the people who who spend their precious time to listen to us. So I'm going to play something and let us all, right, assess what Karen Cross has to say. And then I am going to speak on it, right? So I want you to listen to this, my people.
The government says it's true.
Mark Golding cannot tame. He is who he is. He is not a nice person. He is a deceitful and deceptive little man. He is a wicked and devious man. And I'm going to say something here tonight that many of you might not find funny. You might not like it. Mark Golding worse than Peter Bunting. Mark Golding is far worse than Peter Bunting. And I'm going to tell you why. Peter Bunting wanted to be Prime Minister. Had Peter Bunting been in his shoes, this will probably end already. Because Peter Bunting will walk off shoes and make phone call and go visit people in them yard to get them on board because he wanted to be Prime Minister. He is a different creature from Mark Golding. Mark Golding is a deceptive guy that cannot be trusted. And me I say that to the people that want talk to me. Mark Golding can't be trusted. Don't trust him, is use him, I try to use you. All I want to use him, I try to use people. That's what Mark Golding does, he of them know that him untrustworthy.
Okay. All right. So there is Karen Cross, right? Blowing a lot of hot here as it relates to Mark Golden. And the truth be told, in all of what she said, and that's why I play it for people to hear it, that there is no evidence, any at all, in terms of saying why Mark Golden cannot be trusted. Now, the thing about it, Karen Cross, as a comrade, made an accusation some time ago, right, as it relates to Dayton Campbell, and wish there was a court hearing, right? And just like how she's accusing Mark Golding now, she had accused Dayton Campbell as it relates to a particular allegation, and she was taken to court, right? She had lost the case and be sued $700,000. She was sued. And as a result of that, in terms of that disruption, right? Of course, Mark Golden, right, and other comrades, right, made a decision to, of course, separate her from the party. Now, they said, hell has no fury like a woman's scorn. And so then, as a result of that, she has been overeaten ever since. Right? Now we have all the evidence to support Mark Golden having honesty and integrity. And so then we understand that Miss Cross, right, is just getting into her personal feelings and create similar atrocities of falseness, right? False allegation. She had done it once before and paid the consequences for it as it relates to she losing the case. So she has a history of falsehood. All right. Now, let me finish off Karen Cross, because that is something that I want to highlight. That if you are going to accuse someone, please have evidence to show, to substantiate your allegation. Hell has no fury like Karen Cross. Exactly. You accusing someone, and then when you go in front of the court, you cannot prove your allegation. Right? And so then we understand what happened to that. Now, let me just leave Karen Cross alone because she's just a mountain of hot air blowing that's not going anywhere. Now, Jamaica, last week I spoke on where Jamaica, as it relates to both government, right, as it relates to the debt that we have taken from 150, right, to 80, and the ultimate sacrifice that we had made. We had achieved that sacrifice as a result of Jamaican people, right, suffer the consequences of tightening their belt. gone through wage freeze for more than 10 years. Jamaican had faced the ultimate sacrifice because, of course, we borrowed money from China, borrowed money from the IMF, and so forth. And so then, that debt burden, right? The Jamaican people had made the sacrifice as it relates to heavy taxation that placed upon us. Now I'm going to show Jamaicans as it relates to the amount of taxes that we are paying in comparison to other countries, right? And Jamaica is paying one of the highest tax bracket in the entire world. One of the highest tax bracket in the entire world. So I am going to get into a document, right, and show you a study that definitely indicate that. So without any further ado, let us get into the document. And then after the document, of course, we are going to discuss that, right? And to show the fundamental sacrifice that we have made, right? So let me get into the document. Study finds uneven.
Okay. All right, guys. So welcome to those who have recently joined. Let me just okay, this one. Just open up here.
Okay, so read that for them.
Okay, let me just make sure it's sharing purple.
Okay, so we are going to share this document so you can see the simple fact of this document.
Okay. All right, so let's see. It says, and it's from the Jamaica Observer, Friday, June 23rd, 2023. This one is a later date. So study finds uneven tax rates among rich and poor in Jamaica. Jamaica taxes the rich at one of the lowest rates in the world, while taxes on the poor are among the highest, according to a new personal taxes study by UHY, an international accountancy network. It has led to calls to increase the tax threshold in order to reduce the tax burden on Jamaicans. The Jamaican government should take bold steps to increase the tax-free threshold to US $10,000. This measure would have a positive effect on employees' productivity, and tax revenue loss can be recovered via a sales and consumption tax, stated Dawkins Brown, managing partner of UHY Dawgen in Jamaica. The study released found the individuals earning US 1.5 million, that is US and Jamaican, that is equivalent to Jamaican 168 million per year, paid 29% as income tax in Jamaica, compared with the global average of 40%. That equates to US $1.06 million in take-home pay. But the Jamaican scenario flips towards comparatively greater taxation for those who earn smaller salaries. The study found that individuals earning US $250,000, equivalent to Jamaican 2.8 million per year, income tax at 20 per year pay income tax at 26% in Jamaica, while the global average drops to 17%. Interestingly, the European average drops from among the highest in the world at 50% for US 1.5 million earners, down to 17% for US $25,000 earners.
Okay, so when you look at that, take it away. When I look at that, and it's stating that, globally, right? Others are paying, like Jamaica is paying 26%, and other countries are paying 17%, right? It tells you the high tax threshold that the Jamaican, particularly the poor, middle class, are paying. And while the rich, the elites, right, are paying far way less. Now, the government of Jamaica has to do much better than that to alleviate the strain on the Jamaican people. In instances where you have situation where some of the elites aren't paying any tax, and so then the government losing revenue from that. Now, if the government take a common sense approach to say, okay, all right, let us, for Jamaica who paying, said 30%, right, as it relates to tax, and for the masses, for the the general public, not the elites, and the elites are paying 21%. Why not go into the middle so that you broaden the tax net, right, where you can have more people included in the tax net, right, by reducing, say, 2% or 3% from what you are charging the masses as it relates to the poor and the middle class, and put that 2 or 3%, right, on the elites, right? So you broaden the tax net where you capture much revenue. Now, just to show you the corruption as it relates to that issue, right? Now, when you look on this government, right, having their elites friend, right, and of course politicians, those rich elites, those oligarchs, right, hardly paying anything. When you have Andrew Holness set up a company in Trinidad, right, to alleviate avoiding paying tax. These are the corruption that we're talking about. When we have Mouthpiece Radio, right, Mouthpiece Radio not paying his fair share of tax, then the country need that much needed revenue. But let us talk about the corruption. Now, in a first world country, right, if you avoid from paying your tax and the taxman caught up with you, you and I know that there's going to be penalty and probably land you in prison. We have seen, as it relates to information, the amount of money Mouthpiece Radio has owed, and yet the government is not pursuing Mouthpiece Radio to pay its taxes. And so then this is how the corruption continue to spread. Not only Mouthpiece Radio, how are you going to have a government who the Prime Minister himself, you understand, make it his point of duty to avoid paying tax in the country that he governs, right? And then what is the sort of example that he's going to set for Mouthpiece Radio? So these are the issues that we are plaguing with, right? The level of corruption within this government. Now, let me go to something that is fundamental. So when you have the Prime Minister talking about political entrepreneur, right? Now, let me say this. the Prime Minister defined political entrepreneur, and I want to make sure that I'm critiquing him properly. So we are going to play the clip and let people listen his definition as it relates to political entrepreneur, who he defined as a political entrepreneur. So without any hesitation, let us go through what the Prime Minister said, right? Yeah, what the Prime Minister said, right, as it relates to political entrepreneur. And then we break that down, right, where that is concerned.
This one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's sharing.
Okay.
Okay, and this is from this was posted on 21st June 2023, and it's from NNN. So it says onus warns.
No, this.
Yeah, onus warns.
Scroll up on it. Scroll up.
Oh, it's
yeah.
Okay.
Change, Madam Speaker, is never easy. Never easy. And there is always, Madam Speaker, a creature called a political entrepreneur. Who is that person? The political entrepreneur exists in the gap between implementation and results. While you are implementing, you don't see the results. And so the political entrepreneur takes advantage of the gap between implementation and results to try to tell the public that it won't happen, that it's not going to happen. They try to mislead the public. They try to monetize. There's a term that they use. They monetize misinformation and they monetize discontent. And we are noting, Madam Speaker, that there are many political entrepreneurs around.
Okay. So then, now let us speak on that in terms of what the Prime Minister said, as it relates to his definition. His definition in terms of identifying the political entrepreneur is someone who falls in between the gap of implementation and result. The Prime Minister really acts as if he's smart. You know the reason why the Prime Minister says that? Now, people, be smart. Be smart. What the Prime Minister is creating, right, is an excuse. Is an excuse because when we critique him in terms of his promises as it relates to his implementation and those promises not being delivered, result, we are going to break it down. And so then he's now gearing up his political machine. People, I want you to understand what the Prime Minister is doing. He's greasing the political engine, right? Ready, right? Because guess what? Local and general election is near. So the Prime Minister now is creating an alibi as it relates to calling people political entrepreneur. Because, of course, the amount of promises that he had made, but none of them being accomplished as it relates to result. So he knows that, of course, we here are going to take him to task. We here are going to play back clips, go back in history, make reference of history, and said, Prime Minister, you have not delivered. Then when we critique him in that regard, oh yes, we are political entrepreneur. So I want you to understand where the Prime Minister is going on. If people don't read him well, you understand what he's saying, creating that wave. Now, let me tell you something. Andrew Holness is a conniving person. And because he knows very well that he has so many gaps in terms of not delivering, he's now creating an alibi to escape that criticism. Now, Mr. Prime Minister, you cannot escape this, right? We know that you are also a diabolical liar, right? We know very well that you are a political con artist. Now, when you have your social media, right, political machineries, because they are here on social media too, you know. And so then when they are talking as it relates to highlighting the falsehood of your result, you don't tend to see them as political entrepreneur. But when we are criticizing you to say you made these promises, you need to deliver, then you are saying that we fall between the gap of implementation and result, and we are just political entrepreneur. You are not going to escape, Prime Minister. Wasn't the information minister a political entrepreneur before he became an, oh my goodness, there you go, Arthur Phillips. It's funny how he's eating out against political entrepreneur, but yet he surrounds himself with so many political entrepreneur. Arthur Phillips hitting the nail on the head. And this is what I'm saying as it relates to this Prime Minister. Conniving and deceiving. The political entrepreneur that he had spoken about, right? He should not be critiqued. He doesn't want to be critiqued of his failures, right? Because he wants to just put them into implementation. And people, be smart. Be smart. Because, listen, what he had not done within the 7 years that he has been there, right? Don't look forward for it, right? The Prime Minister is just articulating his cannery, right? Now, when you look on that, what the Prime Minister said, shaping the way for his political campaign. But we here on social media, we know better, and we are going to bring the Prime Minister to task. We have seen the level of corruption that is taking over, and we are going to definitely call them out. Now, people, let me say this. I am not too warmed up yet, but I am getting there. Now, let me say this. Why Mystic Sensation highlighting Mark Golden? Right? And people will believe that, okay, for some who want to believe that I am diarted, I am not diarted, I am a Jamaican. And I'm saying that I am a Jamaican in the essence that we want to see Jamaica run quite well. For me, my people, honesty and integrity matters. Think of what I'm saying, people. Honesty and integrity matters. Regardless of all the accusation as it relates to Mark Golden, people, use your common sense, use your intelligence. We have investigated, and every stone that we take up and look under, Mark Golden came out to have honesty and integrity. And this is what we want in a particular leader. Right? Mark Golden has not mixed up in SSL saga honesty and integrity. Unlike Andrew Holness in SSL saga. Now, let me just show you that Mark Golden has all the fundamentals in leading the party in a positive way as it relates to the connection through democratic socialism. People understand where Mark Golden is taking this, extended and formulating a bridge as it relates to Michael Manley, where Michael Manley left democratic socialism. Mark Golden continuing that. People, I'm going to say something to you, and I'm going to get deep into the politics tonight. You must, if you go back into history, to understand one of the reasons why democratic socialism was stopped was a vicious lie created by the Jamaica Labour Party. A vicious lie that Michael Manley was going communist. And Jamaica Labour Party seek outside assistance. What I am telling you because I lived through that. We have seen the country was sabotaged. For people in the chat, right, who in my age bracket, can speak of it. In the early 80s, as a result of democratic socialism that Michael Manley was fighting for the common people to deal with wealth equity. Jamaica Labour Party, who supports capitalism, Edward Philip George Siaga had run one of the wickedest campaign, one of the wickedest propaganda against Michael Manley as a result of democratic socialism, crushing democratic socialism. Michael Manley fought for equal pay for women. Michael Manley fought for 40 hours worked, 40 hours must be paid. And we have seen the Jamaica Labour Party fought tooth and nail to damage the philosophy of democratic socialism. Because there's an ulterior motive, right? To keep us suppressed. To keep us suppressed. Capitalism, and let me say this, people, you think that capitalism like to see an ordinary black man wealthy? Capitalism doesn't like to see an ordinary black man in wealth. Right? Now let me show you this. The capitalist in SSL don't like to see ordinary black people bearing wealth. And so then, they don't care in terms of damaging SSL. those 9,000 accounts. The viciousness. The viciousness. And here today we have people who knowingly involve, members of parliament who knowingly involve, stand up in a parliament and speak without shame and guile because they have no care. But we are here to bring back democratic socialism, and without any further ado, I am going to play the clip where to show Jamaican people I am one who can back up you with that. Thank you, Glennex Smith. Thank you. We remember those times, what happened to us in the early 80s when certain food shortage because the people need to be suffered. Jamaica Labour Party has done some cruelty, the level of cruelty that they have done, and the history can prove that. It is simple, people. For those who want to learn and willing to learn, right? Let me guide you. We have Google search engine. We have Yahoo. Or any medium of search engine you want to research, you can research the history. It is there in black and white. It's not hiding. It is not going anywhere. Jamaica Labour Party as a capitalist party. Can Andrew Holness comes out and said, no, they are not capitalists? Because they are. All of them, they are capitalists. Right? And so then we have to understand, as it relates to our vote, what do we want? Do we want nation building where we see the economy working for the ordinary person in Jamaica? If you follow capitalism, let me tell you what you're going to get. Our people are going to lose their lands. The elites are going to take all the lands. Pernatures are going to continue with that 15,000 of acre. Right? Just imagine. When you talk about care, and now you have his son promising housing development. Housing development where the ordinary poor man cannot afford. Let us talk, people. We are going to talk about the issues. People who, many of those who are contributing into NHT cannot afford the type of house that NHT is building, constructing. And so then when you look at that, you realize that our people have been losing the land that they occupied for over years. And even when the rules are that plain in the Commission of Lands, saying that if you occupy the land over 7 years, 8 years, then you can go through the process of beginning to register your land. The government make it difficult for you to do that, even when there's a law that protects you. And so then, Colonel Charles feels that he has the right, as it relates to those people who are utilizing the land for more than 10 years. But all of a sudden, Colonel Charles needs to take 15,000 acres of that. And they allowed him to do it because of political kickback. Now, Colonel Charles, look at the wickedness. Colonel Charles buy dollar pay $1 per acre. How much of that per acre Colonel Charles is now going to sell? And that's why other day I showed you, right, what the lands are selling for. Just imagine, you know. Just imagine, you know. Right? The man paid $1 a acre and he's going to sell millions. And now registered Colonel Charles Jr. in a company that he took out. And his daughter, who in politics. They're still in politics. And they don't see it fit to tell their father to have a conscience. Let me talk to you, Colonel Charles Jr., you and your sister. None of you capitalists don't see it fit to tell your father to give back the people them land. But you know what? A poor people them, we can't step on them. We want this a freeway. And you hold on the people and you take with the people them land. Right? So then, only you are Jamaican. Those people are not Jamaicans. They don't have any right. Right? It's only you and your family have right. Eh? You come from St. Ann and owning land in St. Thomas. Right? Kicking off the people them off of St. Thomas. Now, but let me show you why we are defending Mark Golden as it relates to democratic socialism. Without any further ado, let me play this clip. Mark Golden.
Okay, so again, happy Friday and welcome to those who are recently joining. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you guys being here at this time. This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the people know the reality. The hype and gimmickry won't fool them. They know their history. The reality that must be faced is that there's further truth and reconciliation needed to heal our society when it comes to the Mandela period.
Okay. I want you to listen, my people. Mark Golden. Telling you that the people know their history. And people, we need you to do the research. Why we are defending Mark Golden, reminding the history. Jamaica Labour Party is a reptile in our life. Play the clip.
In the 1970s, Michael Manley was trying to build a better Jamaica, a more equal, fair, and just Jamaica for all the people. He was especially concerned about the masses who are marginalized and oppressed by a colonial system which the JLP had left untouched after independence. In this period of the 1970s, the government gave the country free education. The PNP under Michael Manley gave Jamaica the National Housing Trust and built thousands of houses for low-income families. The Manley government gave women the right to equal pay and the right to maternity leave. He gave the workers the right to redundancy pay and notice pay. He gave the workers access to an industrial disputes tribunal when their rights were violated. He made everyone lawful, no master under day again, whether their parents were married or not, so they could get their inheritance and step up in a life as equal citizens of this country. Michael Manley was an international champion in the fight against the racist apartheid regime in South Africa and for a better deal for third world countries like Jamaica. He gave the masses of this country a place in this society so that everybody a smaddy, no care where you're born and where you grow. Many professionals and business people are where they are today because Michael Manley pushed open so many doors in the 1970s.
from our perspective, in that era, the other leader did his best with the help of outside forces like the CIA to destabilize Michael Manley's efforts. Jamaica paid a heavy price. Many of our people were killed in the resulting political violence. The economy was severely damaged by capital flight, hoarding, and the hostile propaganda of a conservative media. All of that was about turning back progress. Madam Speaker, Michael Manley never lost faith in the Jamaican people. And we on this side will always have faith in the Jamaican people. And we will always have their back. So, Minister Clark, I beg you, stop distorting and revising history. I'm sure your own family were beneficiaries of what Michael Manley did for Jamaica.
Okay. So, people, let me say this. You have to understand that your vote is important. Arthur Phillips is Manley. Is Manley why a lot of them could go to the traditional high school and colleges? Yes, Arthur. So people, let me say this. When we say that we are carrying Mark Golden, we are carrying Mark Golden for the principles relating to democratic socialism. The principles. Honesty and integrity. And we are defending those principles. Right? We want to see wealth equity. Right? Not capitalism where only the elites and the few, you understand, can live at Beverly Hills, Jackson Hill, and we're going to speak about Jackson Hill and the corruption, right? And all those places. And seems like some Jamaicans are marginalized because they can't afford to come up here. It's the Jamaica Labour Party mentality, create ghettos. And that is what Michael Manley wanted, was to stop. For Jamaican people to move forward. Now, can Jamaica Labour Party stand up and say they fight for women's rights? PNP, Democratic Socialism, can say that. They fought for that. And so then every woman should have gone back now into history and understand better yet what Mark Golden is now trying to do. One of Karen Cross' accusation against Mark was that people can depend on Mark, can't put on them pot and depend on Mark. Karen Cross, that is what one of her accusation was, that people can't put on them pot and depend on Mark. And so then people not follow Mark. Because what Karen Cross used to is the type of politics that is corrupted and corroded. Mark Golden is moving away from that. And so then Karen Cross has to explain what she meant that people can't put on them pot and depend on Mark. The direction that we are going, Miss Cross, is honesty and integrity. The direction that we are going, we are not going into the direction of Kern Spencer. We are going into the direction of Jess, where you deem to be honest. And I am not saying that Kern Spencer is not honest. All I am saying, you being a member of parliament and allowed yourself to be accused of certain allegation, right? Guess what? Sir, take a slide from out of the politics. Because when Mystic Sensation is showing out the heat, we are going to speak about you. Because there's no partiality around here. And I'm glad, and this goes to show the level of integrity that Mark Golding has. Putting up that seat to be contested. And now, Jess has been awarded. We are moving away from any symptoms of corruption. Jamaican people had suffered too much. The middle class had suffered too much. We have tightened our belt and tightened it tighter for us to come from 150 debt per GDP ratio to 80%. It is not so much as it relates to Jamaica producing that much, but the level of tax that imposed on us, and we have to bear the burden of that to make this country move forward. So in this time, when we suffered so much, wage freeze, high inflation, you are now going to tell us, Mr. Prime Minister and your cabinet, after we suffered so much, you are now going to say that our sufferings resulted in you paying yourself 200 and 300%. Whatever surplus that you gain, that surplus is as a result of the overtaxation from us. That money doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong to you. It is the people's money. And when we have our public sectors, our nurses, police, teachers, fire wardens being looked down on, who had suffered for years in terms of wage freeze, suffered in years of high taxation, and that's why I showed the document tonight. Right? To tell you that when you get up and you're speaking about the monumental achievement that we have come so far, the monumental achievement done as a result of the ultimate sacrifice of the people. The monumental achievement bringing from 180% debt per GDP ratio to 80% is the monumental sacrifice of our people facing an inflation. And now, what you want to do, take that and put in your pocket, right? Now you have taken the SSL money. You have taken NIS money. You have taken, and let me say this, people, we want to understand the length and breadth of the wickedness here. And we are not going to ease up the pressure any at all. We are going to put on the pressure. Because SSL must be explained. And we will be taking Mark Golding to that victory. Because we want SSL to be reinvestigated. We are not looking nothing to hear anything from Crawl. So Nigel Clark, no worry yourself. We not depend on you if you can't tell me nothing. You hold what you hold because your pocket nice and you feel good. But remember, I keep on warning you that it's just a matter of time. And we are going to make sure that we give ourselves the opportunity to put more gold in there. And so then diaspora, please gear up on yourself. Una register, please go and get registered. Remember, the last election is only 37% of the population did not vote. Voted.
Yeah.
37% of the population voted. So 63% did not vote. So now I am appealing to that 63% tonight. Don't make SSL slide. Don't make this party continue to take our lands and shove our people aside. Now, look at these people. And let me try to stimulate the brain. We are practicing what we call a free market economy. Before I go any further, let me say this. Right? Because our economic model that we used to practice way in the 70s and 80s, Singapore president came and copied that model, which was a mixed economic model. Simply means private sector, right? And the government, right, merged to make decisions, which was good for the country. We have price controllers and so forth and so forth, right? Now, our dollar did not devalue like what we are seeing today, the devaluation of our dollar. But people need to understand that when our dollar devaluates, the more our dollar devaluates, what it goes to say, it doesn't speak of a strong economy. Because the reason for us and our dollar devaluating, we are not producing that much. So the issue is productivity. Because the government cannot continue to tax themselves out of debt. Because I may warn, when people cannot take the pressure, the lid is going to burst open. And so then we continue to see our dollar devalue because we are importing more than all we exporting. And if we are exporting, right, more than all we are importing, then that will strengthen our dollar because, of course, we are earning more revenue. The money that we borrowed, right? We have to understand. Teacher P said, Lord Jesus, the struggle is real in Jamaica. There's no doubt, Teacher P. And with the level of corruption, so we have high debt burden facing. We are not producing as we should, right? And so then, what the government seems to be depending on mostly is taxing the people to death. That cannot work. So the question here, the issue here is productivity. We have to export more than all we are importing. Because if you are not doing that, and we continue to import more than how we export, our dollar is going to continue to devalue. It is as plain and simple as that. And so then, when you have a Andrew Holness in Parliament talk his fancy chat, right, and it's garbage, then that's fine. We want to listen. So we need to make sure that we have a government, right, that avoid corruption, because what is causing the inflation as well is the level of corruption. The level of corruption. There's a lot of revenues that the country is losing. A lot of those rich guys are not paying taxes. Mouthpiece Radio is not paying his taxes. It's not Mouthpiece Radio alone. A lot of members of parliament are not paying their taxes. And so then we have a problem. We have a serious problem. So then, the next area that I want to go into is Andrew Holness tend to be conniving, and where he claimed that he has now been given his members of parliament job description. People, I want to take him to task tonight. I want to take Andrew Holness to task tonight because he thinks that he's smart. I don't know who him a fool. So people, let me put up that thing and let you see what Andrew Holness is talking about, job description. Get a girl. Andrew holding Jamaica hostage. No two way about that, get a girl. Wayne Evans, a household can't spend more than you bring in. You will stay poor and bankrupt for life. Exactly, my boss. All right. Let us go into that clip there, honey.
Which one?
Andrew Holness.
Okay.
Job
All
description.
right, again, welcome to those who have recently joined us. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for being here. Okay. Oh, this one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me just see what is showing. Guys, give me 1 second.
All right.
He didn't open up this one properly.
Welcome back to Primetime News.
And a special welcome to those of you watching on onespotmedia.com.
Up first, the long-awaited job descriptions for cabinet ministers and members of parliament have been tabled in the House of Representatives.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness tabled the documents late this evening and announced that a joint select committee will be refining the job description for MPs.
Now it comes in response to public backlash due to the massive salary hike to the political directorate. We have more in this report.
The 9-page job description for government ministers outlined a number of requirements and deliverables. Ministers have 25 main areas of responsibility. They include attending cabinet meetings, coordinating and providing policy and strategic leadership of their portfolios. Cabinet ministers also have to get feedback from experts on areas within their portfolios and provide reports to Parliament, pilot legislation, and carry out any other duties assigned by the Prime Minister. Minimum qualifications and experience for the job. Qualified according to the laws of Jamaica to be appointed to the House or Senate. Cabinet ministers must also understand government, the laws of Jamaica, engage in critical thinking, have the ability to mediate disputes, and a strong conviction to principles of good governance. There was no stipulated time period for experience, just a period of progressive experience gained through advocacy, political or professional affiliation, community involvement, voluntary sector or business experience. As for the working conditions, government ministers are expected to travel, work long hours, be away from family for an extended period, always be on call, have high levels of stress, and be subject to verbal abuse and threats.
The Parliament, through its Joint Select Committee, will be invited to note the approved job description for ministers and further develop and refine the job description for members of Parliament. The committee will also be asked to establish a reporting and accountability framework for members to include standard periodic reports to Parliament on the work of MPs in their constituencies, the use of public resources such as the CDF, and the engagements that the MPs have with constituents. The attendance and participation of members in the House and committees will also be tracked and action determined for absences beyond a set threshold. So, Madam Speaker.
Now, the Integrity Commission and government ministers have been at loggerheads about the signing of a code of conduct. The Prime Minister indicated Jamaica was invited to accept 7 principles of a public life based on the UK's Nolan Committee report: selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, and leadership. Those same principles make up the Integrity Commission's code, and so Mr. Holness made this comment.
Every minister in the cabinet is bounded by the Code of Conduct in Ministry Paper 19/2002. So I want that point, Madam Speaker, to be cemented. The cabinet is not without a code of conduct. There is a code of conduct that has existed for 20 years, which members on that side, when they were in the cabinet, were also bounded by.
People, you know, me have to really laugh. Now, let me just speak to Bruce Golding, because I heard Bruce Golding try to justify the Prime Minister's salary. And people are going to see the reason why I am making a reference now to Bruce Golding. And Bruce Golding said that hotel managers are getting more pay than the Prime Minister. And so then he believed that the Prime Minister should be more paid than the hotel manager. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Now, a job description I can speak as it relates to job description because I've been there and done that. Right? And I can speak on performance matrix because I've been there and done that. I've been an advisor for a huge company. So then, for the managers, the hotel managers, they have a job description that is very detailed in terms of their responsibility. And not only that, along with the job description, we have what we call performance matrix. So then the performance matrix have to deal with a time period in terms of when you identify certain issues, right? And time period given to have them resolved, right? So then, look, Andrew Wellness, let me talk to you. What you're talking about here, we are talking about members of parliament. They are dealing with representational politics. And then in your job description, you have not drafted a policy where your members of parliament who are responsible for respective constituencies need to formulate programs to uplift the community and identify vulnerabilities of a community. That is how you fix your constituency. So then your job description, what you've highlighted, is just garbage. None of that is dealing with representational politics. And we need those members of parliament to have an understanding that members of parliament, as it relates to the respective constituency, you should have now put into their job description that they have the responsibility now to formulate programs within their constituency, right, to uplift the constituency. So then, if you have said Northeast sentence that may control by whatever member of parliament, and the issues that Northeast St. Andrew has, just for argument's sake, right? Poor road infrastructures, right? Broken down bridges, right? Some communities not having tap water. So then the members of parliament need to formulate programs how to deal with those issues. And a timeline must be given as it relates to representing the people and having the task completed. So then, Mr. Golin, when you're talking about the hotel manager, now if the hotel manager identify that, okay, the hotel for the last quarter did not see as much traffic as it relates to the previous quarter, right? What is the problem? That hotel manager is going to say, okay, all right, we did not do certain marketing, and then we have to, deal with those level of marketing to get, those people awareness. Okay, we need to have better customer service at the front desk, right? Where, our front desk people can represent us more and so forth. So you have to identify the issues. Okay, how long are you going to take to fix the issues? So those things need to be drafted, right? Then when you have what you have now, Mr. Andrew Warnes, you never address the problem. Because what you have, you still have your ministers based on the laws that you have, that they've only go visit the constituency 2 times in every 5 years. They're still going to visit the constituency 2 times in every 5 years. So where is the representation?
But as far as I'm concerned, the MP should live in the constituency, at least somewhere in the
and you're right,
constituency, not outside
right.
of the constituency.
So
you should be knowing what the people are going through at any point in time. You should not be leaving from some way shuku, figure way over yonder to figure out what is happening with the people. He should be within that surrounding or within that geographic location that he's in charge of to know what the plight of the people, is.
yes,
right? So if you're representing a particular section of Jamaica, you should be living there. Exactly. At least in one of those communities. You shouldn't be living up to Upper Jackshill and then move from Upper Jackshill, figure look what happened over Cockburn Pen or wherever.
So then look, what he has there's no changes, right? There's no changes really. I'm talking about meetings and so forth, right? You still have a system where you have members of parliament only go and visit them constituency 2 times within 5 years. What sort of representation that? What the job description that we have? Them sell out the country, load them pocket and still want raise a pay. Thief. Remember me tell you, get a girl. Where is, right? So when you see, it's just that, I don't know. It seems like them really take the Jamaican people for quashy head or quashy bud, right? You claim that you have given job description, right? And your members of parliament, right? They are not representing the constituency. right? You have bridges in a constituency that broken down bridges, damaged bridges, going 2, 3, 4, 5 years, don't fix. So how are you going to address the problem? How are you going to address the problem? And for Bruce Golden, this is the reason Bruce Golden, that I'm saying to you, sir, right, that there's no way those members of parliament should be getting more money than the hotel managers, because they have a job description and they have performance matrix, right? Whether you're going to, and they have the qualifications. So there's no way you can compare that, right? Now, look, these persons who claim that they are representing us, remember, you know, they are the one who take up the responsibility, you know. This is what I can't understand. They are the one who said, vote for me. They are the one who campaigned, said, vote for me. I have the know-how to fix it. They understand the issues. That's what they said on their campaign, you know. So I am going to look on the campaign what the GLP members of parliament are saying and giving the people the reason as to why the people need to vote for them. Because from my understanding and my awareness, whenever a member of parliament is campaigning in whatever area, he's telling the people that he has the know-how to fix the people issues, and he understands the issues. So then, when you become now a member of parliament, you only visit your constituency only 2 times within your political career, 5 years within the political span. Within 5 years, I'm going to 2 visits to the constituency, 2 visits, and in the job description, that not change. No performance matrix. Where's the performance matrix? Arlene Foster, buy most of them vote. Definitely. Right? So you give a job description. Where is the performance matrix? To say, okay, all right, we are going to, visit the constituency, right, quarterly, right? Write on your observation whether, okay, all right, there are 2 bridges in the constituency that need to be fixed in the first quarter. Okay, you take all of those reports of, the vulnerabilities, right, and things that you can improve on, right, and then you submit a report. The second quarter, what needs to be done? Second quarter need to show that, okay, all right, you attempt to address the problem, you attempt to resolve the problem, right? Now, if the second quarter that you didn't resolve the problem, then you have to state the reason why as the problem never fully accomplished. And then state your intentions. How are you going to get it corrected? Take it to the third quarter. And then we expect that to fix now in the third quarter. But you don't have none of that, Andrew Wellness. And you collect, you take 200 and 300% raise and give them, and you don't have none of that.
Some of them don't have no qualification.
You don't have none of that. In your job description, boss, you don't have none of that. The people I mean to know. You don't have none of that. A representational politics, that the member of parliament who represent a particular constituency, he represent the constituency for a reason. And people voted for him for representation. Right? We don't want to vote for Wilmington that when we report a bridge, that a bridge is damaged, Wilmington go tell me for F off. This is madness. So you still can't justify your 200 and 300% raise that you're giving these people. This is thievery. This is thievery. And you come up now in a parliament They sweeten up your mouth about job description. Where job description there?
I don't know how to draft it.
The members of parliament, right, need to draft programs for their community to develop their constituency. I don't see that in the job description. We are going to hold a member of parliament responsible to formulate programs to uplift their constituency. Which part that they in your job description, and where you have performance matrix given to them that it must be right completed in a given time. Where that there, where the performance matrix there, what you are going to use and grade them on. This is bullshit. This is madness. And you increase their salary. I'm talking about, okay, if they get good pay, they're not going to do good work. Now them get good pay. And the job description we write, you don't even write a proper job description. A job description that. You, the Prime Minister, don't even write a proper job description. Like, seriously? So to take Jamaican people then for idiot then. This is a big joke. This is a big joke. Right? So then, let us move on to a next situation that we're going to deal with. Because guess what? Jamaican people, let me say this. The fundamental problems that Jamaicans have are lands, occupying lands, and water, housing, proper housing.
Safety and security.
Safety and security, right? Health and education. And so then we have continued to see these issues fail along the wayside. So I am going to play our next clip and show you an issue that a lot of Jamaican people having serious issues facing. So without any further ado, let me just get into the next clip and then we discuss that. National Water Commission.
Okay. All right. So again, welcome to everyone. So let me just share here. Which one is that? National Water Commission. Yeah. Okay. Open that one. Good.
Thank you so very much for joining us for another edition of All Angles. I'm Dion Jackson-Miller. The population of Kingston and St. Andrew has increased from about 525,000 in 1970 to approximately 629,000 in 2010. Now, with that increased population has come water shortages for many corporate area communities. That's our focus today, and our guest in studio with me, we have Dr. Horace Chang, former Water and Housing Minister, and he now speaks on that portfolio for the opposition. Also with us, Engineer Howard Chin. First, though, producer Andre Jebinson takes us back to the serious water shortages of 2009 and 2010.
Often in Jamaica, when it rains, it pours, but when it ceases to rain, it's a nightmare. Scenes like this were seen all over the corporate area in 2009, heading into 2010. There was no blocking of roads or any placards demanding the oh-so-precious commodity, but it was clear that there is a serious supply problem, especially in dry times. The NWC was forced to implement measures to lessen the pressure on the then-depleting Mona Reservoir, Kingston's main source of water. But even outside the scheduled water lockoffs, some residents still weren't getting water. The NWC communications manager, Charles Buchanan, tried to explain.
So let's say a customer at any number, what's the name of the road, had water yesterday, but someone is taking water from a hydrant today down below them. Their water may go. And it's not necessarily because we have done anything different than we did on the other days. That's one of the issues. So we may be doing everything in the same way, but it may change based on changes in the usage or even changes like blockages of the line.
Schools and clinics consequently had to curtail their activities.
The water, when it is in the tap, because they seem to have scheduled lockout for the area, when the water returns, it is dirty, there's stilt in the water and so on. And there are times when the lockout affects us. We do have tanks, and we try to have the tanks filled with water so we can use. But the usage is also heavy because we have labs and classes where they do experiments. We also have a large student population that has to utilize the bathroom facilities.
Right now, it's a few ladies, even that disabled lady over there. She has been carrying water from morning to give that other lady to wash. Can you imagine? We have to send home the children because there's no water to bathe, no water to do anything at all.
Even the fire services had to be proactive in their emergency response.
That they're operating on the presumption that water will not be available at the hydrants in a particular area. So they are preparing so that when they get there, they should be fully loaded and be planning to get water from further distances.
In November 2011, then Water Minister Dr. Horace Chang made this declaration.
Corporate area, well, in fact, not just corporate area, the Kingston Metropolitan Region, which covers central and south St. Catherine, the corporate area, we will eliminate water lockouts at any time of the year. In fact, by next year, this time, we expect to have no water lockouts at all, even if we have a severe drought.
That assurance came as the government announced a multi-million-dollar water improvement program to rehabilitate much of the NWC's old infrastructure in the corporate area. Andre Jebinson reporting for All Angles.
All right, people.
Thank you so much, Andre. Let me just remind you that throughout the program, you can text us with your comments. Our text line is 285.
All right, people. Let us put on our critical thinking. One of the first things that Dion Miller pointed out was the increase in population. Now, as it relates to the increasing population, right? You still have that one dam, the Mona Reservoir Dam, right? That has now would have outdone its capacity because the population increasing. And so then, from my common sense approach, let me say that, because I am not one of those technocrats or civil engineer, but I'm just using my subjective thinking here. That if you have the population increasing around a particular area, and you have the dam only contain whatever capacity, it simply means that the increasing population, right, from whatever time period to whatever time period, that dam is going to outdo its use. Because if it used to source help 500 people, you have 1.5 million people now added to that source. It is going to put the dam itself under such pressure. So then, the government need to think, do they need to, and this is where the technocrats comes in. Do they need to expand the size of the dam, or they need to dig a different well, make a different dam, so that it can service the increasing population? Because we can talk over the issue, right? This a party are going and then talk over the issue, then kick the can down the street, and you don't have a next dam building. The dam is not increasing. And so then that is a problem within itself. That is a problem within itself. So then, who is going to take the bull by the horn and decided that, okay, all right, let us either put in a new system, right, so that it can enhance the whole system, because the trouble with that, you might have some areas that occupied that can't afford to put in a new system. Then if you have areas that occupied, right, that inhabited, and you can't put in a new system, why the government thinks, okay, all right, maybe we need to relocate them people here. Put them somewhere else, right? Over a period of time, put them somewhere else so that we can either build a new dam to enhance the old dam so it can service the growing population, or if the dam can expand to a bigger size, you understand, to have more capacity. Me just say it automatically myself. Because how are we going to fix that issues? Now, the second thing we want to talk about. Jamaica is utilizing a free market economic model. People want you to think and listen to what I'm saying. Then if Jamaica is utilizing a free market economic model, to me, the engine of a free market economic model, right, is to drive competition. Right? For those who agree with me, let me know. The engine that drives a free market economic model is the art of competition. And so there might be competition, adequate competition, right, can drive down the cost of goods and service. That is the idea between, as it relates to free market economy. Invite competition. Why am I talking about free market economy and inviting competition? We have National Water Commission, right? We said we have a free market economy. And we said we are, open for competition. Then why the government, right, not seek for other entities then to come in and give National Water Commission some competition? Because if they can expand the dam, right, and them have problem in terms of fixing leaks, then might be we have to come to the realization that, listen, man, NWC, right, outlived their use and cannot function effectively as it relates to our population. And so then inviting more would have now provide competition, right, and will able to probably drive down the cost. People, me just say, me don't know. You understand? Because the thing about government, they are to be innovative thinkers. Remember? But it seems like National Water Commission have a monopoly. And so then monopolize the market. And so then the shitty service that we are getting, we have to accept it because we don't have another source that we can go to. We don't have another source. And this is the type of politics that we are getting. The Jamaican people need to be properly represented. Right? Now let us go to JPS. When we look at JPS, right? JPS again is another problem. A lot of communities are not getting the service that they would like to get. And so then that again is another issue. Because the thing with monopolies is that when they set their price, they are defending their price. Because they are the only service provider for that commodity. So it's either I take it or I leave it. Now here in Canada, you have multiple companies that if this company not treat you right, not giving you the service you required, then you go to the next company that will give you that service. So the Jamaican people, right, just sticked up as it relates to the sort of political representation that we are getting. We are not getting any. Right? And then upon top of that, the corruption. Now, since we talk about the corruption, let me go into my final clip as it relates to we're going up at Jack's Hill, people. Remember last week I spoke as it relates to Jack's Hill, right, on the corruption that have gone up there, right? So make a visit back Jack's Hill. Byron, do realize that all people saying and telling the crime minister he don't gives a damn. He doesn't care about the people. It's all about his family and friends. When it is so true. Now, let us revisit up at Jack's Hill, people. You understand? So come we could go up at Jack's Hill and see what they go on up at Jack's Hill. Now, people, before we're going to Jack's Hill, what Mystic Sensation has done, because I cited corruption, so I went and research for the development application process. You understand? To have a better understanding of what is taking place at Jacksville. So people, let me show you what I found. And you and I, we are going to read it together. Please. Yes. All right, people. Let me read it. So, are they seeing it?
Hold on, let me double check.
Okay. Because
yeah.
Okay. So people, let us go into, because we see big development, the Guana Jackson, and you hear that it is for apartment, homes, and so forth. So let us go through the application process to see, right, what has been happening there. Development application process guide. Development means the carrying out of building, engineering, mining, or other operations in and over or on the land, or the making of any material, changing the use of any building or other land, TCPA. Permission is required for any of the following. People know hear it? Permission is required for any of the following. Let us go into the following, what permission is required for. Right? Erection of building, demolition of building, making addition, alterations or repairs, renovations, temporary building and farmhouse, change of use of building from one use class to another, example, residential to commercial. An application of such nature could take approximately 4 weeks for residential single-family buildings, while other applications will take approximately 90 working days. And so then the following guidelines will assist. Requirements for applying. 1. Here are the requirements, people, because we want to go to Jacksonville and find out to go to Jacksonville. But here are the requirements. Completed application form with prescribed fee. Number 2, certification of tax payment. Number 3, location map scale of 1 to 12,500. Surveyor's report. Detailed construction drawings for proposed development, including site plan showing building layout and footprint, access and exit, elevation, section, electrical, sewage, roof. Where property adjoins main road, 2 additional sets of plans are required. Proof of ownership, certified copy of registered title, certified copy of will, certified copy of sales agreement, certified copy of deed of gift, conveyance. If you are not the owner of the land, a letter of authorization from the owner stamped and signed by a justice of the peace or a notary public should be presented to conduct business with council. Other documents may be required to conduct a complete review of the application. Okay, let us move to the next stage now. Await approval from municipal corporation before commencing any work. People remember read that over again because we see work at one. Work is taking place, and here the document state await approval from municipal corporation before commencing any work. Development breaches and penalties. Anyone who is found to be building without a permit may be issued a stop notice and enforcement notice requesting immediate cessation of works until the plan is submitted, approved, and permit is issued under the TCPA. If an individual fails to obey the notices, a fine up to $1 million can be imposed, and thereafter a fine of $5,000 per day if the development continues under the new International Building Code. Individual will be subjected to a fine not less than $250,000. If the building is found to be a breach and the developer has subsequently submitted the plans, the individual will also be penalized. Refusal of the application. If your application has been refused, the municipal corporation is required to write a notification letter to you stating the reason for refusal and guide. Let us take away that money. All right, people, now read out the thing, showing the development guidelines that he has to get permission first before him begin any development. It is clear in black and white. Make a visit Upper Jacksonville now. Play Jacksonville.
So, when you think about foundations for houses in here, or buildings of any description, you've got to think about what you're building them on, and how safe that would be. So in other words, if you load a slope, can that slope fail just because it gets wet? And even worse, if we get a small earthquake, or even a large earthquake.
We were made aware of the situation over the weekend. Officer was here on Monday to issue a cease-work notice on the clearing of the land, and we come here this morning to ensure that the notices were complied with. Currently, the permit is still being processed at our office. So what's taking place now is the creating of an access road to enter the top of the property. After we had issued the cease-work notice, the developer reached out to us to indicate that he wanted to access the property to do a borehole test so that they could finalize the engineer design. But no approval was given for any development at this point.
So the collapse of the road or the landslide was caused because of the cutting of the access road?
Yes, the cutting of the access road, the debris from the cutting of the access road would have rolled onto the roadside and caused the road to be impassable.
Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce that local...
Professor Simon Mitchell, Professor of Sedimentary Geology. I do loads of other things, mapping and things like that as well. The Department of Geography and Geology at UWI. You see, they should have put a retaining wall in before they did things. This is part of the problem if you're doing this. And you can see that the rocks down there are actually the same sort of thing, the same sort of soils. These are weathered granitoid rocks, these sort of things coming down here. And this whole area is going to be built like this. So you can actually see the whole slope here is made out of these sorts of rocks. So all of this is potentially landslide material. The trouble is that these rocks, there's two problems with these rocks. Number one, that this is a big fault zone. So with these rocks, they're faulted, they're broken up, they're sheared up, so that they're initially weak. Then, because we live in the tropics and you've got hot weather and you've got rainfall, what happens is the minerals in these get changed to clays. And so the whole lot becomes unstable. And so what you have is an unstable slope. Now, as soon as you cut into that slope, what you end up with is failures.
People in the meantime,
and those failures are what is going to be the
building starting. See there.
So in other words, if you cut a road into these sort of things,
all right, see
this
let's
stuff
start
will
project
fail,
there.
and that's it. And the only way you can prevent that happening is either put in retaining walls, or what often happens is natural vegetation comes on top, but the natural vegetation will only develop over time. And if it's steep, it won't actually develop at all because it'll keep falling down.
But in a case of doing the development, you usually remove all these vegetations, trees, everything.
Well, as soon as you remove that, then your slopes become unstable.
More unstable, yeah.
So as soon as they become unstable, they can actually slide down.
So you're saying that they should have built the retaining wall.
Retaining wall should be done first. If you're going to go in and go do something like this, you should look at where you're going to put your roadways, where you're going to put your construction, and you must put in your retaining walls to actually stop things failing.
Okay.
This is put in as a second thing. They didn't think they had to do this. Probably they didn't have cost for this because they didn't think they had to do it.
Okay.
And that's part of the problem is that you're just assuming you've got a bit of land you can build on, and you're not thinking about how stable is that land. And you've got to be looking at that land in terms of stability. And if it's going to fail, you've got problems.
Okay.
Not just for you, but for the people around you. I don't know how well this retaining wall is anchored into what's beneath. You see, I mean, have they piled it? Or is it just on the natural at the bottom? Because if not, then this whole thing, even it's got steel in it, won't go down. So the real question is, okay, so is this properly put in? Are the piles in there to anchor it into the ground so that it actually stays in position? That's the real question. I don't know. It's now been a big failure. I mean, it could be worse. These things could be worse. I mean, you know, how much fails? I mean, if it was raining at the moment, more than it's been raining, for instance, we have 10 times as much rain, you could have had this whole slope come down.
Right.
Okay, and depending on whether that is anchored in properly, you don't know whether this thing can actually move again. So I think the question is, you know, how is this anchored? Is this anchored in? I don't know. I don't think we'll be able to see it, but and there's obviously, you know, there's a lot of scaffolding, but we don't know whether that's anchored in or not. Are the piles on the bottom of it?
Okay.
That would be the question. I would ask that question. Are the piles on it? So we are on limestone, and as we drive out, we can see that.
Okay.
But we are on limestone, and then we come across the fault, and we've gone into the granite.
Okay. Granite.
Yeah, it's a granite-like thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason we've got this big escarpment here, the Jacks Hill escarpment, the hillside, is because this side is going up relative to Kingston.
Okay.
So that's the flat area down in Kingston, and we are on the big Wagwater fault zone through here, and this is being uplifted. Okay, and there's multiple faults. So there's one at the base of the slope. One separates the limestone from the granitoid, and then there's one more or less on the top, which separates the granitoid from a series of conglomerates. So there's a lot of faults in this area. We sort of think about faults as a single fault line. Not right. They're often multiple faults across a zone, and this is about 1.5 kilometers, 2.5 kilometers wide, a zone of faults. So the rocks inside
So
that,
we're standing,
messed up.
essentially right now, we're standing in a zone of faults.
We're standing in a zone of faults. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the white limestone. So this is on this side of that little fault. So on that side, the granite diorite has been thrust up, maybe faulted up, maybe a kilometer. And then somewhere at the bottom of the slope, this stuff's gone up maybe 1 kilometer to 2 kilometers. And then at the top, things have gone up 8 or so kilometers. That's a lot of movement. That's why we're in a very dynamic area.
Right.
Yeah, we really are a dynamic country in terms of faults. So what you can see in here is now you can see white limestone. Okay, so this is the white limestone. And it goes on. It's offset by little faults as well, but there's a big fault behind it, which brings the granitoids up. And this is relatively stable to build on. Okay, you don't need the retaining walls on this to the same extent, although some of it's fractured. It's not as, you can see it's broken up into bits, but it's more stable. You can see it holds a good vertical side to it, whereas that stuff doesn't. So you immediately come along and you're actually seeing a different rock type, and that different rock type is significantly better to build on than the one over there. Yep. You have big rainfalls, all of this could come down. Because what happens is the rain gets into it, loads it. As soon as it loading over reaches a certain capacity, overloads the ability for the slope to stay stable, and it comes down. And that is where you end up then with a big serious set of problems. So this is, this is not not a great way of doing anything, basically. And if you just look at it, it doesn't look like nice rock. Okay, it looks like horrible mess. Okay, dirt. But what you'll see is that there are bits that aren't so bad. So this, this looks, that's the granite diorite. Okay, and you can see.
What's this?
So this is the granite diorite. This is the granitoid. Okay, and you can actually see the structure in that. So you can see that's got the sort of crystals in it that you'd expect for a plutonic igneous rock. So this is intruded into the ground. This is what this does. But what?
All right. So people, I think we get the gist. So basically what the professor is saying there, that the land itself, right, that sort of construction that they want to do on the land itself, right, shouldn't be done, right, because that soil is a loose soil. And the question as it relates to what I read out earlier, right, that they actually started without any form of permission granted from the respective authority. So then, so well, all right, it seems like some corruption is there, right? But again, it's Jamaica. And I am monitoring that situation because I want to know if they are not going to yield to what the professor had said, the geologist, the professor, geologist, is saying that that sort of construction that they want to do there, right, it is not feasible for it to be done there. So let us see, people, because we know that corruption has a way, and we try to find out who is the developer, right? And we got the name of the developer, but for now we are going to we're not going to speak the name of the developer, right, for obvious reasons, right? So we are going to watch it to see what is happening with that, right? And might be this something that, you know, of course, the legal authority, right, seems to be fumble on this one where the municipal is concerned, right? So it's a wait and see. Well, that is partially the end of, you know, the presentation there. And we are sort of, to be honest, never really properly, you know, get to organize because of the lateness and so forth. So we plan to have something more punching for next week, Friday. And what? No, Jeopardy?
Oh no. Oh, sorry guys. For Jeopardy, I'm not gonna be able to do it tonight. I have a template, but honestly, I am so tired, and it's after 10. I'm working in the morning. I have 3 more days of 12-hour shifts to go. So I'm apologizing, but I'm not gonna be able to do the Jeopardy tonight.
Yeah, she has not been. She's still in her uniform, so
It
right.
must to start. I came through the door. Haven't even showered or anything yet. My son is waiting on me upstairs. He hasn't showered yet or anything.
Yeah. So next week, Friday, of course, we are going to come when we are better organized. We will be coming on early, and one of the reasons why we are just, you know, to the fact that we're late, we just try to scrub some things together, right? And so then that is what we have as it relates to do what we have to do in a very, you know, quick time, right? Because we're both coming from work and it is what it is, but we still try to come through. And I want to say big thanks for all, you know, to come and pass through, right, and spend their precious time with us. We really appreciate that. All right. So, honey.
Okay. All right. So thank you guys. Really appreciate you guys joining in, although it's late, but you guys turned up. So really appreciate that. Again, you could have been doing something else on your Friday night, but you chose to be with us. And as usual, we don't take it for granted. So we really appreciate each and every one. And Truck Life is saying, always good to be here on a Friday. Thank you so much, Truck Life, and love and appreciation every time.
Yeah, next week we definitely will be carrying Jeopardy next week. It's just unfortunate because, of course, we have to have other, you know, commitment that we try to see how best we could adjust, but unfortunately we did not. We had not given the time in doing so, and so then, you know, it is what it is. We just have to work with it.
Okay, thank you so much, guys.
Sharon Savage, get your beauty sleep on. Yeah.
Trust me, I need it. I'm so tired. When it's saying, Baron, let's go fishing.
Oh, Jesus. When? Yeah.
Okay. And then we just say, get yourself much rest, family. Have a blessed night and weekend. You too, Debbie. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here. And again, thank you for everyone who recently subscribed. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the share outs. Really appreciate. Thanks for the continued support. It is very much appreciated because we want the message to get out there, because you know we are all striving for a better Jamaica that works for each and everyone, not just some, but everyone will be able to benefit. Everyone will be able to, have some pride and, be proud of our country overall, and, steer our country in the right direction. So thank you. And for all the other content creators out there who are burning the fire, continue to do so. Continue to let our voices be heard. And guys, continue to support our objectives in trying to make Jamaica better, trying to educate persons according to their rights, highlight the issues that's taking place, try to shed some light on certain situations so they're better understood. So really, guys, thank you. We really appreciate each and every one.
And remember, guys, that we need to be very serious and committed as it relates to us coming together, right? Fighting back for Jamaica, right? Because Jamaica is in a juncture where our leaders, particularly this government, right, has failed us miserably. No two way about that. And this is not me being dieted, right? I'm a Jamaican, right? And when we see a leader like Mark Golding, who is fighting for the same cause, when you have Mark Golding who recognize the corruption and make an attempt, right, drafting bill to create an impeachment act, right, so that politicians can be held accountable for their wrongdoing. People, if you really look on the viciousness of this government, right, in terms of what this government had done, and the Prime Minister stood in Parliament saying that he has the power to turn it on and turn it off. It shows you the gravity of the carelessness.
He doesn't respect anyone. He has
Right?
ultimate power, he thinks.
Because what he's saying to himself, that he find the people gullible. Honestly, that's what he's saying. So then he knows when to tell the people what he needs to tell the people, right? And still maintain his popularity, and still strongly believe that, okay, he's going to win the next general election because he has the power to turn it off and turn it on. People, you need to listen to what the Prime Minister is saying. Right? Does he have the power? Question to you, Mr. Prime Minister. Do you have the power to take the people, the masses, out of poverty and deal with wealth equity? Do you have that power? That is the power we want you to have. Not the power that you believe that you are so articulate with your political rhetoric and you can speak your way through. I'm going to turn it on and off when I choose to. Can you imagine, Sharon? Sad. Right? And what I notice, none of the legal institutions as it relates to the judiciary, right, or anyone to hold the prime minister accountable. The PSOJ seems to be so supportive of the corruption, I can't say better. Right? The Integrity Commission right? They padlock their mouths. The judges are well paid. The Prime Minister have 19 different agencies in his office. The DPP got extension time by the Prime Minister. And so then the DPP is silent. The corrupt prosecution, silent. And it seems like the entire system just dead under this government. People, we have to wake up. We have to see what is going on around us. We have seen people contribute into NHT.
Oh, sorry.
And majority of that NHT money put into SSL. And the people remain numb. That speech was disrespectful. He using the people. Yeah, exactly, Ken Roy. And when you see the level of disrespect and the institutions that need to hold the Prime Minister responsible and members of his parliament, member of parliament responsible, right? Who is left for us to call upon? The police commissioner get an excellent raise, right? The Minister of National Security being viewed as it relates to WikiLeaks as a corrupter, and the Prime Minister, with all of what being stated there as it relates to possible corruption, the Prime Minister gave him Deputy Prime Minister of Jamaica. Right? People, it cannot be plainer. My people, I said to you some time ago that the people that we fight for, as it relates to our Jamaican brothers and sisters, some of them that we are fighting for, let me say this, we have to use one hand fighting for them and one hand to ease them off. Because, you know, and this hurt to know that some of us are so gullible, right? The truth be told, I did not even spend time to listen to the Prime Minister in Parliament. And people, you know why? I did not listen to him. More than just running through clips on TikTok. Is that he has lost the trust. Yes. He has no integrity. And who we have in Parliament speaking, when I look on Prime Minister Andrew Holness, here is a man, people, and this is the truth. What I'm going to talk is facts. These are facts. We have somebody, and people, I want people to get it, you know. I want people to get it. No mainstream media asking these questions. Andrew Holness knew very well that SSL was a Ponzi scheme. He knew. Andrew Holness knew about the 1995 saga. That almost cost Jamaica 40% of GDP lost. And Andrew Holness, even knowing that, went into SSL 2008. And people, it's not funny, nobody now asks his question. It seems like it's only Andrew Holness, what we know of, benefited from SSL. Andrew Holness just could not have a simple profile account based on what I am looking on. It couldn't be. 9,000 accounts. Right? Trust me, people. Trust me. And the gall of some people defending this man. Right? This man was very much aware that SSL was going to go under 2021. The Prime Minister and the primary thief that they claim, Jean Panton, exit SSL 2021. And now under the pressure, Jean Panton is saying that she was coerced by Croskery, and no mainstream media, not one mainstream media is asking Nigel Clark right? Who is investigating SSL? Is Crawl investigating SSL? Nothing. Nothing. People, you have people in a SSL, several people in a SSL, people want to get it. Several people in a SSL have them last and decided that, okay, I am going to put my money into SSL for future savings. Jamaican people, who really want Andrew Holness to hold on to power. And now, Andrew cannot state how much him put in a SSL and how much him get out. It seems like only me alone on social media they ask a question. How much the Prime Minister put in and how much he got out. Is the Prime Minister is a shareholder in SSL. Is the Prime Minister a shareholder in SSL? Jamaican people are not going to stop from talking about SSL until some justice. Justice needs to be done. Right? We can't have members of parliament involved and them expect to get away scot-free. And just use up distractions to avoid SSL. I am praying when them comes out, all of them get the orange suit to wear for 70 years. right? And then feel free to campaign and leave SSL behind. You have a lot of old ladies who have them last money and put in a SSL, saying that they were securing their future savings. Their savings, they were securing their future savings. And the sitting member, them sitting parliament, right? And speaking about what you call, what entrepreneur? Can you imagine? This man is the art of evil. Art of evil. And people don't see his strategy. His wife seated on the oversight committee. Right? Everett Warmington, who ate Greg Christie and speaking publicly on the Oversight Commission. And because the Prime Minister was investigated, they want to damage the Integrity Commission. And then if Jamaica, we sit with this, we don't see no marching down against the government. Right? And people sit with it and absorb it. And watching them, because they have the numbers in the people. They have the numbers. The People's National Party cannot oppose them. It is 49 to 14. So anything that they want to table and pass, they can do it. And we are going to watch them weakening the Integrity Commission. And then some of us are going to say, but the PNP not opposing. Can the PNP oppose? Can Mark Golan oppose? He has 14 members of parliament. Right? It is the same Jamaican people give the Jamaican Labour Party such strength and such power. And now who they are beating? They are beating you with it. They can pass anything. Unstoppable. This is what Jamaican people had done to themselves. This is what we have done to ourselves, including myself. This is what we have done to ourselves. Right? Give this man such power. This one is a dictator in the making. So, people, I will be like a thorn in his neck, hunting for justice. There was a reason why David slew Goliath. So we don't watch how they are big and powerful. When we are anointed by the Almighty God, we use God to fight our battle for us. And when we pray, Father God will deliver. So then, let me hear what Wayne said. What they try to do to Michael, it's the same thing they will try with Mark. So right, Wayne. And so then, that's why people need to remember history. Go back in history. Go back in history. And you know, one of the things where really hurt is when people, even although a lot of them understand that, okay, there's nothing that they can hold Mark Golding on to say, okay, all right, I got you. You are corrupted, you do this. Not one thing. But they still find ways and means because they are so corrupted in their ways. They used to the skullduggery. They used to the nepotism. And so then they will still try to find a way to accuse him. To accuse him. Right? Still find a way to crucify Jesus and accept Barabbas. And that is what we are doing. That is what we are doing. Right? What did Jesus do to be crucified? What did he do? If people can show me one wrong that Mark Golding committed, then go ahead. But even although Andrew Holness had allegations as tall as Blue Mountain, 7,402 feet high, they're still overlooking his crime, looking down on Mark Golding. And to find reason and justification to say why they don't see Mark Golding as a viable leader. They remind me so much of the house slaves and the plantation slaves. You know? But as I said, time will tell. People, fight for yourself. Fight for your sons and daughters. Fight for the nation. Fight for the nation. Let us for once believe in justice and believe that justice can prevail. Let us give justice a chance. For this once, let us give justice a chance. Let us give justice a chance. People, we have suffered too much. Right? Help yourself. Do the right thing. And make sure that Andrew Holness get the medicine that he truly deserves. And it shouldn't be that he's just losing an election. From once there is case for him to answer for, he needs to answer for it. We need to set an example. And with all of what he's doing, all of the distractions, all of his distractions that he's smoking up, is to cool down SSL. SSL is where it's at, people. And all of these distractions, come back to SSL. Explain SSL. Whenever the Prime Minister can explain SSL, then we have one understanding. The Prime Minister needs to explain SSL. Right? You have a Prime Minister where his assets, his wealth cannot be verified by the Integrity Commission. And people don't see nothing wrong with that. people don't see nothing wrong with that. The Prime Minister cannot explain his wealth. People, let us think. The Prime Minister, statutory declaration cannot be verified. So then that doesn't tell you anything. The man who is leading the country. And I tell you people, other countries outside is looking in. They are looking in and say, what a disgrace. Ultimate disgrace. Ultimate disgrace. When you have your Minister of National Security, Jamaican people, are we just that shocked and dead? The Minister of National Security, as it relates to allegation of corruption. And then the minister is not answering to it, to come out and defend himself against it. He's not speaking. So then, okay, anything that you want to believe, you just believe it.
No explanation.
Because he doesn't owe us any explanation. He's the Minister of National Security. Like seriously. Like seriously. This is where Jamaica gone to. And so then people, you know, it comes to the end of my of our program. So once again, I want to say a big thanks for you to pass through. It's always a pleasure. Right? And we're not going to stop from burn the fire. Trust me. Right? We'll be here every Friday. Burning the lamp oil, burning the fire. Because one day, justice will prevail. And that's what I'm ending with tonight. Thank you once again for passing through.
Okay, guys. So have a blessed and wonderful weekend. Again, thank you for your continued support and have a wonderful and productive week. And safe travel on the gravel until next week, Friday.
Right.
And again, I'm so sorry. I apologize to Jeopardy persons. So next week we'll definitely have Jeopardy. So safe travel on the gravel until next week. Bye, guys. Love you all.
All right.